Hi there. My name is Mike Huggins from MDH Advisors, and I'd like to take a moment to talk about risk. Where do you think the real risk exposure lies in your company? Spoiler alert, it's probably not where you think it is. I was recently talking to a client who was questioning what additional steps were needed to protect their company from regulatory risks during a major strategic initiative. He had some concerns, even though the traditional support functions, including internal control, quality, and regulatory, were in place. Well, that's a great question. As leaders, we constantly face risk of the clinical acceptance of product innovations, risk associated with the execution of strategic plans, risk of having the right people in the right positions, as well as risk related to the lack of regulatory compliance. This is even more so in the medical device sector. We may try to delude ourselves into thinking that I've got this under control. Hey, we have a solid internal audit department and a regulatory compliance organization. Actually, I really can't think of many instances where companies and executives face real liability, both personal and professional, due to an underperforming internal audit or regulatory department. Of course, we can't operate without an effective quality and compliance organization. However, I consider elements such as policies, procedures, and dedicated departments as, quote, hard internal controls. Yet, when we think about where the real exposure lies, I like to shift the focus away from hard controls to this concept of soft controls. So what are soft internal controls? Well, soft internal controls are intangible controls like morale, ethical climate, empowerment, competencies, openness, shared values, and of course, the big three: leadership, trust, and integrity. So how often have you heard organizations referred to in terms such as having a pervasive, toxic, and dysfunctional atmosphere, depicting a mentality of do as I say, not as I do, or following a tone at the top that talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk, or even demonstrating entity-wide cover yourself mindset? Perhaps your organization is struggling with some of these questions. None of us wants to join the ranks of those who have been done in by lagging ethics and a weak corporate culture. I find it ironic that internal controls related to these types of settings are labeled soft. Actually, there's nothing soft about working under or trying to improve such circumstances. It's really hard stuff. It's very hard. So why am I so passionate about this subject? I have lived experience through having excellent hard controls but inadequate soft controls, as the company I was managing was accused of serious FDA violations. Not only was the company charged, but I was also personally targeted. I was ultimately charged with a criminal misdemeanor as a responsible corporate officer for the actions that happened under my watch, but that I was unaware of. The company and me personally paid a huge price, and I still have the scars on my back from that experience. The Volkswagen emissions scandal, otherwise known as Emissionsgate, is a great example. Their company's formal governance structure was seemingly strong, but the informal communications and the behavior of management created a culture that was almost diametrically opposed to its stated values. Had focus been placed on evaluating soft control gaps between stated corporate values and the values that were actually practiced, they might have identified these gaps and well before things got out of hand. Surprisingly, 45% of executives feel that weak soft controls are the most pressing issue when it comes to gaps in workforce proficiency. Today's technology and data-driven world, emotional intelligence has definitely been sidestepped, and soft skills are notoriously hard to teach. Again, I'm Mike Huggins, and I will work with you and your team to evaluate your soft internal controls in a manner which will ultimately drive growth and profitability while developing ethical leadership and ensuring regulatory compliance. To learn more about my background, my experience, and how I can serve you, please check out my website for contact info. It's mdhhuggins.com. Call to set up a free consultation. You can email me at mike@mdhuggins.com, or please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Please consider me a resource. Look, we're all on a journey. Sometimes we lose our way, but that doesn't mean we're lost. Thank you for your time.